Okay, well, I'm here with Jan Harzian of MUFON, and I want to, thank you for your time because I know you're a pretty busy man.
Well, thank you. Great to be here, Chris. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start, with the first question. What are the goals of MUFON?
MUFON actually has three goals, primary goals. They're to investigate UFO sightings, to promote research on the UFO subject, and to educate the public. Those would be our three primary goals. Our overall arching mission statement is the scientific study of UFOs for the benefit of humanity.
Oh, okay, so tell people what do you do to help educate, the public on the mystery of the UFOs?
Sure, absolutely. The main thing is annually we have a symposium. This year it will be in Irvine, California, Southern California, at the Hotel Irvine, from September 24th to the 27th. And we bring in speakers from around the world to talk on the subject of UFOs. This year's theme for the symposium is Expanding Ufology, Opening New Doors in Academia, Industry, and Media. And our view is that if we can get outside of just the UFO community and start involving the universities and corporations of the world in the study of this phenomenon for the benefit of humanity, that we will be able to make much greater strides than if we just try to do it ourselves or operate only within the community of ufology that exists today. So that's one major area. The other is just our website, MUFON.com. We provide a lot of information about current sighting reports. You can track it on the UFO tracker on the right-hand side, which is a map of current sightings coming in. Now, those are raw reports, so I always caution people that, after we investigate them, not all of them end up being, true UFOs, but it's still interesting to see as things come in and we can track different things as they happen around the world. And then we have our MUFON Journal, which if you're a subscriber or a member of MUFON, which is only $35 annually, 30 if you're a senior over 65, that you can every month have delivered to your doorstep, actually to your in-basket, because that's the e-journals. But we also have it in printed version, which is $20 more to pay for the postage, handling, and shipping. That is, so it'd be $55 annually. But that's the longest continuous running UFO journal in the world. It surpassed anything else that's been in the marketplace in terms of printed material on this subject. It's called the MUFON Journal, and you can look at it on our website and determine kind of what you want, or we could even give you free copies of the electronic journal so you can try it out for yourself to see if you like that. People can just belong to our newsletter list and for free, and they can get our every twice a month newsletter. That's another way we educate the public. And then we also put out to that email list a summary each month at the beginning of the month of the sightings from the previous month, so they can kind of get a feel for what was reported to MUFON. So we're just really there to educate the public on the fact that this is a real phenomenon, that it's happening all around us all the time, and that there are very credible witnesses reporting some very extraordinary events to us each and every day. So that would be my summary of what we do from an education standpoint.
Oh, okay, great. Because one thing, obviously, as you know, is with people, when they hear paranormal, everybody jumps, right to the ghost. And during my research, I found out that actually UFO, that 47% of the population, which is the highest number, believe in UFOs rather than any other paranormal phenomenon.
Very interesting. And where did you see that?
I did some research. I Googled some research for the past 2 or 3 days. I was like, I wonder, what things, and, how TV goes with things. And it's 47% for UFOs, 36% for ghost, and 18% for cryptozoology.
That's very fascinating. I
Yeah.
can tell you that the landscape is really shifting on the UFO side of things. I can't speak for the other two, but there's just many, many more people out there now understanding and believing that there's other life in the universe. The only gap still existing in my mind is maybe between the academics who think, well, there's life out there, but it can't get here because of the general theory of relativity, and speed of light. But we know for a fact that these objects are here, which means they figured out a way to do that. So that just means that our physics and our understanding of the universe is not far enough along yet for us to be able to do the same. So we're very much looking forward to research being done in this area that will help us break through that barrier and get ourselves out into space and exploring the universe that God created.
Yes, and that's, what I was going to ask you one thing which I noticed, which is very impressive, that you have a lot of scientists and, well-respected people in your organization, and you look at everything from a scientific standpoint.
Yes. Well, we try to do that. We started with the data that's presented to us by the witnesses and making that available to researchers. We have our own research team run by Robert Powell, who's our Director of Research, and he has a science review board which reviews all of the projects and any papers that are written and released by MUFON on the subject of UFOs. But also we have other research projects going on as well. Statistical projects which are looking at the data as it comes in and trying to determine the trends and what the data is trying to tell us. We have a new team we just initiated to study the orb phenomenon to understand what that might be about. We have just a lot of people doing a lot of basic research in the subject area that we are hoping will lead to some incredible breakthroughs for all of us. Certainly some understanding, a better understanding of the phenomenon and what it means to us. But research is really the heart of what's going to get to the bottom of what's going on here.
Oh, excellent. And, two last quick questions because I know you're busy. What's percentages you would say of UFO sightings, turn out to be IFO sightings?
Our data tells us it's around 33% currently. It's possible that if there was more knowledge known about the subtopic. So we get about 8,000 to 10,000 reports a year. That comes out to about 500 to 1,000 a month. And when we go investigate those, they tend to fall in 4 or 5 different buckets. We get about 32% unknown, which means we can't identify what it is. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a flying saucer from another star system. It just means that we can't identify it. We get about another 30, 32, 33% that are IFOs. We get about 12% that are insufficient data. That means that either the witness won't respond to us or did not provide us enough information to allow us to make a determination, and so it goes into the insufficient data bucket. We get about 2 or 3% hoaxes, so that's interesting because a lot of people think there's a lot more hoaxes in this area, but our data tells us, and that even goes back to Project Blue Book, about 2 to 3% are reported as hoaxes. That means people either making up a story and typing it in, we call that a keystroke hoax, or trying to go out and fool the public by creating some kind of an event or something that would make them think that there was a UFO that they would report. So that's a very small percentage. And so that's kind of how the data falls out. Now, if you go back through all the unknown cases, which we do every month, and that have been investigated, and you really crawl through them, there's a 2, 3, 4% of those cases that are extraordinary to the point where they point to something very significant that we're not able to duplicate ourselves as a civilization as yet. And those become the real cases that we really want to focus our attention on because they're obviously something object or otherwise under intelligent control that are here operating in and out of the planet. So those are what I call them. So if you say out of 1,000 cases, how many are significant? I would say it's in the 2 to 5% range of the cases. Even though you asked the question another way, which is how many are unknowns, we would say 30%. It's just that those 30% unknowns aren't at the level of being extraordinary to the point where you would absolutely say to yourself, this is not something that man is doing, it's something that someone else is doing. That made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you bring me to the last question, what advice do you give for somebody who thinks they might be seeing or experiencing a UFO, like the do's and don'ts?
Well, the first thing is if you have any way to put instrumentation on it, whether that's a camera, a telescope, or any kind of measuring meters like magnetic or otherwise, do that immediately. But the main thing is to keep your eye on it and observe it. So note what time you saw it on your watch. Keep careful observation on the object and any movements it makes. And most importantly, how it ends up leaving your site, and how does it leave? Does it shoot off into space, or does it slowly drift away, or does it just wink out because maybe it's a light in the night sky, nocturnal light? Just careful observation, and then once you've done that, and if you can measure it in any way, like I said, with a camera, video recorder, whatever you have, that would be awesome. Then go to MUFON.com, click on Report a UFO, and report the data to us, and we'll assign a field investigator to it, and get back to you and try to work through and figure out what it might be. It's only through collecting this kind of data that we'll be able to provide scientists and researchers with information that they can go then and determine perhaps how these objects operate and more about them that will help us, hopefully, as a civilization advance much more rapidly than what we are today.
Oh yeah, absolutely, I agree. And I obviously, me and I'm sure millions of others, as you know, definitely respect your work and dedication to it. So again, I want to, thank you for these few minutes of your time, and I definitely appreciate it, and hope to talk to you again down the road.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank all the people who are brave enough to step forward and report their sightings, and all the hardworking people at MUFON who are volunteers to go out and research this stuff on their own time and help provide some of the data that's needed to help us get to the answers. So thank you, Chris, for having me on the show, and I hope to talk to you again very soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye.